Welcome back to Commander's Call, everybody. I'm your host, Sam, alongside my co-host, Ben. It's been a few months since we've talked to you. A lot has happened in that time period. We're here today to go over that. Uh, Obviously, like we always say, like, comment, and subscribe. We always want to hear from you guys. You can find us anywhere that podcasts are streamed. Obviously, if you're watching the video, you can find us on YouTube. Follow our Instagram handles as well. You can find those in the links to all of our descriptions for all the videos and the podcasts. How you feeling, Ben? How you feeling now that the season's over?
I'd say it's good to be back on the podcast, and that's probably the most positive thing that has happened for me this season.
Yeah,
It
no
was a little
kidding.
bit of a mess, but they say the off season's the only time that all 32 teams get to feel like they have a chance at winning the Super Bowl,
That's
unless
right.
you're a Jets fan. But we're probably
Ah,
the only ones that have no chance.
or the Browns.
Browns, yeah, it's got Myles Garrett.
Ugh, I wish.
Seeing crazier things happen.
Right. Yeah, the off season, the proverbial time where you can't lose. So here we are to talk about some of that stuff. Today we'll go over coaching hires, who's come, who's departed, as well as expiring contracts of players, players that are impending free agents, restricted free agents, or right free agents, etc. Also, those that are eligible for contract extensions. And then Ben and I will go over at the end of the podcast, towards the end of the podcast, some free agent fits that we think would work pretty well here in Washington. And given the changes on the offense and the defense, right now, it's kind of keep this in mind like a pretty general idea because we haven't even had introductory press conferences by the new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator yet. Those will come Monday, February 9th. A little timestamp. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, February 8th. So by tomorrow, we will have press conferences from both David Blau and the new offensive coordinator, Durante Jones. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into that right now and stick around.
Looking to keep it in his great move on his feet and in for the touchdown. Oh, what a move. Throws down the sideline for Terry McLaurin. McLaurin is loose. Lightning strikes twice in Washington.
Hey, give me two claps and a Ric Flair.
All right, starting with coaching hires and departures. A lot of departures. As we know, there was a lot of changeover. Dan Quinn took over for Joe Witt mid-season. I don't know the actual week date, but I believe it was sometime in November. It's called the defense for the rest of the season. Defense still sucked, but it didn't suck on the level that Witt had it sucking at. So a lot of changes had to be made. A lot of people put on the chopping block. Just a quick rundown, and this doesn't just include defense; it's also offense because we know what happened there as well. But a quick rundown of coaches that have departed and or got fired. Tavita Pritchard, we know, left mid-season. He took the head coaching job at Stanford. Congratulations to him. But he left the wide open hole at quarterback coach, which David Blau, who we all know got hired as our offensive coordinator, took over for mid-season. Also, right behind that, you have Bobby Johnson's offensive line coach. He got fired. Cliff Kingsbury was a mutual parting of ways. I'm not sure if we'll ever have the full story to that, but kind of write
Probably
themselves
not.
and, read between the lines a little bit. I think at this point, it'd be a little bit moot to go over all of that because I feel like people have had time to catch up with the lore and following this coaching cycle. Cliff's in LA now. We wish Cliff the best, and we're moving forward. Also, Joe Witt fired. He is now signed in Pittsburgh as their pass game coordinator and assistant head coach. Uh, who else do we have? Pass game coordinator Jason Simmons also left for Pittsburgh. Defensive line coach Sharif Floyd left, and pass rush specialist Ryan Kerrigan, the legend, the Heartbreak Kid. He was not retained as well. Um, Outside of the Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Witt removals, are you really surprised by anything, Ben?
I think the only one that really surprises anyone here is the Bobby Johnson firing, because we all thought the offensive line, I would say, overproduced their talent in 2024 and was the only strong part of the team in 2025 with all the talent on the line. But it seems like it's more of a scheme thing that they moved on from him for. I guess he's more known for the power power running system, and we assume we'll get into it with Blau that we want to move to a more zone style, Shanahan style running offense. So it seems like it's more of a scheme fit thing, but that was definitely the biggest one that surprised me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and you made a good point about the scheme thing, and it's been rumored that Adam Peters in the front office would like to move, and Dan Quinn would like to move more towards a West Coast Shanahan style under center offense with zone run blocking scheme. So yes, that would make sense. At surface value, when it first happened, I was like, "Is this because of Brandon Coleman, like in him
It could
digressing?"
be.
And I think that maybe it has a play, in the overall broad, you know, understanding of their reasoning. But I don't think that's the only reason. I would wager to say that the scheme thing was more so to do with it, especially with how early they let him go.
Right.
I don't know if he's signed on with anybody else yet, but he did well for us, and good job.
I
Hate to
think he
see it,
definitely got
but
his reputation flipped back around after his time in New York.
right. Yeah, exactly. Because he kind of was really thrown under the bus there. And I mean, they didn't have good offensive lines. They were pretty middling at best when he came here, and I think, frankly, he overperformed here.
Yeah,
So,
you could kind of see the same trend in New York. I've seen a lot of former Giants offensive linemen say they love Bobby Johnson,
right.
but that was more the veterans, and the younger guys didn't really develop there. And I feel like we had a similar thing here where our veterans were good. Tunsil was good, Biotish was good, Cosme was good, and Connerly developed. I'll give them credit for that, but I don't know how much that goes into this Connerly being young and developing overall, and personally goes to Bobby Johnson. But you didn't see Evan. He couldn't really develop Evan Neal in New York, who was a top 10 draft pick, and
My cat.
we didn't. We saw major regression out of our second round pick left tackle, benched at left tackle, moved to left guard, benched at left guard, and then used in that Trent Scott sixth lineman role sometimes.
Right.
So that Dan Quinn always preaches that he wants teachers, not coaches. Obviously, you want both, but if he doesn't see Bobby Johnson as a teacher, that could be part of why he was gone.
Yeah. I mean, guess you got to kind of be in the room to be able to actually really tell, because on the other side of the hand, you could mention Chris Paul too, who
Right.
maybe he helped him turn into a legitimate starting guard in the NFL, but I digress. Yeah, so excuse me, not consistent, pretty large group of coaches that aren't here anymore.
And we
Um,
could see more. I have seen rumors that Willie Gay could also leave to go join Pittsburgh staff because he played in
who
Pittsburgh
played
for a
there?
long time.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I don't think I think we're far from over from it, and you have the Senior Bowl and the Super Bowl in between, so it doesn't really give them a whole lot of administrative time because you got
To,
scouts out, you got
right.
administrators out. There's a lot going on in the NFL right now, and I think come tomorrow and the weeks moving forward after that, we'll see a little bit more, like perhaps Tommy Donatel. I know a lot of people are calling for his head, but we got to see how this plays out first and see who they retain. I'm sure, as we'll get into here in a couple minutes, there's going to be guys that actually stay and take on different roles. Yes, so we'll just have to see how that goes, and moving forward past that into the new staff. So obviously the top of the line one there is offensive coordinator David Blau, who was promoted from assistant quarterbacks coach last year midseason when Tavita Pritchard took the head coaching job at Stanford. From there, he took over as quarterbacks coach. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time talking this morning. Took over as quarterbacks coach from there. And just a couple days into the offensive coordinator search, we heard rumblings that Detroit might be interested, and a couple other teams might have been interested in hiring David Blau away. They already gave him a significant pay increase last offseason to stay, and somebody that it's been pretty widely known that they wanted to keep in Ashburn. And they promoted him to offensive coordinator, much to the surprise of most national media. I don't think as many local media or fans around the DMV or wherever you are a Washington fan were surprised by this as much as the national media was. But he is only 30 years old. He's just a couple years away from out of actually playing snaps in the NFL. He last played for Detroit. Granted, he was cut before the season started in 2023. Like, you can go watch Hard Knocks from 2 years ago, and David Blau is in the quarterback room in the meetings. I actually highly suggest watching that if you haven't. He is a smart dude, and you can get little bits and pieces of understanding of why he's so highly touted around this league. Um, you're going to hear me say this maybe a lot this offseason, and it's something I like to stand by, as the years have gone on in my fanhood. I'm usually happy, especially since the new ownership and new management has taken over. I'm generally going to be happy about something that they choose until they give me a reason not to be, because we don't really know. I mean, do I have apprehensions about David Blau's experience of calling plays and experience of being a coach on the sideline, period? Yes. However, I also don't think that they would put him in a position to where his failure is going to mess up a lot of things in the organization if they didn't trust him. And I'm excited about it. He's worked under, let's see here, Ben Johnson when he was with the Lions from 2019 to 2021. In Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell in 2022. Um, he was with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona in 2022, as well as with the staff in Washington for the last couple of years, and then back in Detroit in 2023 with Ben Johnson. So he has seen a lot of really highly regarded offenses around this league, and as a coach and as a player. So I'm optimistic. I mean, tell me your thoughts, Ben.
Yeah, just to play a little devil's advocate, because I hear that thrown around a lot about, oh, he was in Detroit under Ben Johnson and in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. He was on Minnesota's practice squad for like 3 months. So it's not like he was with O'Connell for a full off season or for a whole year or anything. So did he learn some things from Kevin O'Connell? I'm sure he did. If he's a smart guy, he'll pick stuff up in a short time with anybody. But it's not like he wasn't there for a long time to really get that full system ingrained in his brain, I'm sure.
Right.
And when he was in Detroit for his first stint, Ben Johnson wasn't the OC yet because Ben Johnson didn't take over as their offensive coordinator until 2022, which would have been when David Blau left. So Anthony Lynn was actually the offensive coordinator in Detroit one of those years that David Blau was in Detroit.
That's
So I
correct.
think some of it's a little overblown with he sat under all these talented guys. And even if Ben Johnson was just the pass game coordinator when Blau was there, I'm still sure he still learned some stuff. But I think that Blau has proven himself to be a smart guy outside of who he's learned under. And good offensive coordinators take stuff from guys they've never played under, anyways.
Right.
So I think that we've seen guys play under or even not make it to the NFL at all and come out with systems that they've never ran in college because that's just what they liked from studying film. So I think it'll be really interesting. I don't think there's one offense we can pinpoint down like this is what David Blau is going to run. I don't think because he wasn't really with any certain system for very long. Cliff is the guy who's actually with the longest. So I'm curious how much of Cliff's system we get out of it. But
Yeah.
overall, I was really excited about the hire. I like that Dan Quinn went young. It kind of disproves again some of Dan Quinn's mistakes in the past, not promoting the young guy. We'll see if this is too reactionary or if it's learning from your mistakes.
Well, we were the first ones to do it this offseason, but then you had the Ravens who hired Declan Doyle, who is 33 years old from Chicago. He was their offensive coordinator. And there was one more guy's 28 years old.
Well,
The guy for
I
no,
think
that
Declan
is
Doyle
Declan
is
Doyle.
28 years
That
old,
is
yeah.
Declan Doyle because
But then the
he's the same
Eagles
age as
hired a
Lamar
QB coach,
Jackson. Yeah, he's the same
which is
age as
crazy.
Lamar Jackson. He's 28. And then the Eagles hired Sean Mannion, who's 33, as their offensive coordinator. So
Right. And the
it's a
Broncos hired their QB coach, Davis Webb, who's only
Davis
like
Webb as
32.
well. Yeah,
So
there you go.
we're seeing a youth revolution around the league
Yeah,
for
I mean,
these offensive
everybody's
spots.
trying to find the next McVay. That's how it's been for the last 10 years. I mean, and it seems to be one of the more, I'm not going to say foolproof methods, but it hits quite often. You see a lot of
Almost too
infusion of
well.
almost too well. And I mean,
So like, in 2 years, where are we going to be if he gets a head coach job? That's something we have to worry about if he's successful.
well, you're putting the cart before the horse.
Oh,
And
for
and
sure.
if
But that's
and
a
not
good
to get
problem to
too deep,
have.
that's a good problem. And perhaps that's the reason why they didn't go after Mike McDaniel, because that's a 1 year thing. And I
Right.
think 2 years could have also bought Dan a little bit more time as well, if
Yeah.
but that's a whole nother different story. I think people know how I feel about that. Now, I don't think that he's on a real hot seat, but
No,
that's
I
a
say lukewarm at
conversation for,
best.
yeah, lukewarm at best. It would have to be a complete disaster. Last year, I don't think they blame him for that very much because of
No.
the amount of injuries. So, Anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, David Blau, pretty excited about. Got to wait and see, but I'm glad that they kept a relationship and continuity going with Jaden Daniels, which is the most important thing in the franchise right now and moving forward. Secondly, defensive coordinator. That was a much, much, much longer search. Um, Actually, I want to jump back for a second. I want to touch on somebody on offense really quick. Since they got rid of Bobby Johnson, fired him pretty early, they actually ended up promoting the assistant O-line coach, Daryl Singleton, or Darnell Stapleton, excuse me. They promoted him back in January. He was the assistant offensive line coach last year. Players had a lot of good things to say about him. He's a former player himself, won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. And the biggest thing, and going back on your point earlier, he specializes in zone blocking concepts. So definitely lots of clues to point us towards the team going in that direction, running and blocking wise in 2026. All right, now to get into the defensive side. We all know the defensive coordinator search was a lot longer.
That was a
Kind of,
stressful search.
it was stressful. Uh, it could have been worse, honestly, because I mean, it could have been with us trying to find, coaches when Snyder and the team when you're just like, all right, just get to the end of it and who we're gonna have to pay to come out of retirement, pretty much. But ended up settling on, I don't want to say settling. They ended up signing Durante Jones, who was the assistant defensive coordinator, or I'm sorry, defensive line coach and pass game coordinator over in Minnesota. And this is after I think it's important to note that Brian Flores even took somebody's car alarm going off inside my house. Sorry. That Brian Flores even took a interview with Washington. I think that might have been the only interview that he took as a defensive coordinator position. And you kind of
I'm not
got to
sure.
wonder. I think it was. And you
I
kind of
think he
have to,
interviewed with the Dallas, but
I don't think he did.
I saw
Eh,
at least saw
whatever.
rumors. Either way, it
Yeah,
doesn't really matter,
either
right?
way, most of his interviews were for head coach. We
Right.
all know he didn't get the head coaching job. The Vikings are basically paying him head coach money to come back for a year in Minnesota. So you have to wonder if maybe because he wasn't really reported to be on the Commanders' radar before they interviewed Flores. After they interviewed Flores, Durante Jones comes out of nowhere. So you got to kind of wonder if maybe he mentioned Durante Jones in the interview. Um, this is a pretty cool thing because I'm a PG County guy. I was born and raised Bowie, Maryland. Um, he's from Capitol Heights. Coached at Bowie State back when I was in high school. He's a defensive coordinator. He he's been around a long time. Let me just run down where he's been in his coaching career. 2001, Lenore Rhine Bears. I don't even know where that is. That sounds somewhere like maybe Europe. I don't know. Nichols State Colonels, 2002. Franklin High School, defensive coordinator, 2003. Jeanneret High School, 2004. Bowie State, assistant head coach and defensive coordinator, 2009, 2005, or 2005, 2009. He had top defenses while he was there. UCLA Bruins, cornerbacks coach. Montreal Alouettes in the CFL, defensive back coach. Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, two stints, 2012 to 2014. Oh, I'm sorry, one stint, two different jobs. Secondary coach 2012 to 2013. Assistant head coach and secondary coach 2014. Wisconsin Badgers, Miami Dolphins, Cincinnati Bengals, Minnesota Vikings, LSU Tigers, Minnesota again, and then us. You get the point. The guy's been around, and I don't see that as like a bad thing. I see that as
No,
somebody who had to cut his teeth from the very freaking bottom, and now
I
he's
mean,
made
if you
it
look at where he's been, he's coached at every single level we could coach at.
every
He's coached
level.
high school, he's coached D3, he's coached D2, he's coached D1, he's coached the
CFL.
Canadian Football League.
Yeah.
Like this is a guy that just loves football. He wants to coach football. He doesn't care where it's at. He worked his way up. He didn't get some nepo job from a good friend straight out of high school, straight out of college. He earned his way to the top. And it seemed like everyone wanted a defensive coordinator with experience. Well, this might not be the kind of experience we were thinking of, but this is experience. He, by now, should know what he's doing.
Yeah. And he comes with rave reviews from the players. And yeah, a lot of coaches do come with those type of rave reviews, but they seem genuine and there's a lot of people that talk very highly about him. Didn't have a lot of success in LSU as a defensive coordinator. However, he got the experience of playing calling plays there. Granted, it's not the NFL, but SEC is about as close as you can get to the NFL without your
At
eyes
least
getting
back
wet.
then.
Yeah. Um, I'm excited for it, man. And I think. I think there's a lot of changes that are going to come to the defense. I mean, there already have been personnel wise, but there were, and that doesn't even have to do with the fact that we have 100,000 free agents this year. But I-
Most in the league, I believe.
something I want to touch on really quick that I'll actually tie in to later in our conversation with like free agent ads and extensions is it's important to note. And when I say this, keep in mind that base defenses are exactly what they are. They're base defenses. You're going to see so many different looks out of those base defenses. Like, all right, let's just jump into it. Brian Flores ran a base 3-4 defenses that frequently shifted into 4-2-5 nickel and 6-1 penny. So you have a base of a 3-4, three defensive linemen, four linebackers. Your outside linebackers are essentially your edge rushers. Your ends on a 3-4 are essentially your defensive tackles. Then you have a nose tackle. Out of that, you're going to have several different formations. So it's not going to be what you see on the field all the time, but it is important to note what the base is because that'll help you get an idea of what kind of personnel they're going to go after. And this has not been confirmed, but this is just us speculating or me speculating based upon what I saw happen in Minnesota. And you got to think that he's going to be bringing a lot of that, and that probably is why they hired him. Um, Brian Flores' defenses were known for fast blitzing and one gap defensive lineman. So think guys like Andrew Van Ginkel, where you're not going to have like a classic hand in the dirt edge rusher. You're going to have more of an outside linebacker that's fast and flies to the ball and is aggressive. Um, Somebody like that. And I think that we're going to see a lot of changes staff or personnel wise when it comes to that. And I think a lot of incumbent players that we have on defense are going to see slightly different roles. And like I said, we'll get into that a little bit later on. But I think we're going to see a massive overhaul over the entire across the entire board on defense.
Yeah, I'd say one thing that's really different about how Brian Flores ran his base 3-4 is typically when you shift from a base 3-4 to a nickel, you pull that nose tackle off the field or one of those defensive ends to bring your
Right.
nickel in. But he had so much faith in Andrew Van Ginkel's ability in coverage that he would pull that second middle linebacker off the field to throw the nickel on. So you pretty much be running like a instead of like a 3-4, you'd still be running like that like a 3-1 pretty much, and you or a four. He'd have still have the four defensive linemen, three defensive linemen down, and he'd still run all three linebackers, but he'd pull that like keep all five defensive linemen down, both edge rushers and three defensive linemen, and you just trust Van Ginkel to drop off into coverage or blitz. So you don't know on any given play if they're bringing all five guys on the line or dropping Van Ginkel off the edge back into coverage. And I think we're going to get into a little bit more when we get into extension and whatnot, but I think we have a guy on the team who can do that. It's gonna be really interesting to see if Durante Jones brings that one for one here, or if he, has his own different kind of stuff he wants to do. It's hard predicting guys who never called plays because you don't know if they're just gonna try to copy where they came from or do something completely different. But it'll definitely be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, I think we actually got a couple guys on the roster that are capable of that type of skill set. But we'll definitely get into that a little bit later on. Keeping it on defense for one of the last coaching hires, they also promoted assistant defensive line coach. I apologize. Daryl Tapp took over. He was I'm having a hard time talking today. I apologize. Daryl Tapp goes from defensive line coach to assistant defensive line coach. And then the Washington Commanders bring in Eric Henderson, defensive line coach and run game coordinator. He's most previously at USC as their co-defensive coordinator, defensive line coach, and run game coordinator. Also is rated as the number one recruiter in the country. He was a defensive line coach with Aaron Donald and the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. Another guy that comes extremely highly regarded. I only know what I've heard about him, and what probably everyone that's watching or listening to this has heard about him, from other people around the airwaves. But seems like a guy that fits really well into what they could potentially be trying to do on defense. And not a whole lot I can say. He's had a really long ride too. He started Georgia military, from there Oklahoma State, UTSA, Chargers, Rams again, USC, and now in Washington. So another hard-nosed type guy. Looks like he likes to get after the ball as well. So we'll have to see how that plays out. How are you
Yeah, my
feeling?
only two notes on Eric Henderson is in Los Angeles. Anthony Lynn was the head coach that brought him in for his first NFL gig.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of a reuniting there. And when you have a guy like Aaron Donald at the end of his career, who's already been there, done that, is a surefire Hall of Famer, and that version of Aaron Donald is talking super highly about
Yeah.
how great of a coach you are, that's a lot different than just Joe Schmo, third string cornerback on the Vikings, saying that Durante Jones is cool. Now, obviously, I still trust that guy's opinion, but it's like a whole nother level of just
Right.
like Aaron Donald is probably 10 times more knowledgeable than Eric Henderson is theoretically, and he's still given a lot of credit to Henderson being in that D line with him every single day. And so I think that's a good word of encouragement for some positive thinking about how he'll be here.
Maybe Aaron Donald wants to come coach.
You don't
Maybe
see
he wants to
players
come
wanting to come
play.
coach very often. Yeah, how about it? Come out or
I
he
know.
still got it.
I,
He's a freak. He
he
still
could
got
he
it.
could he could suit up right now, dude. No doubt in my mind. No doubt. He's just out there living his life. All right, moving forward into expiring contracts and free agent fits. We have a ton of free agents this year. Don't freak out. We have a lot of one-year deals, as we all know. Um, really tired of saying how barren Ron left the roster, but he did. Um, Christian Gonzalez still haunts me. Oh, did you know that David Blau is Christian Gonzalez's brother-in-law?
Yeah, because his David Blau's wife was the track runner. That
Yeah,
was in the Hard Knocks episode.
yeah,
Is
that's Christian
him watching
Gonzalez's
his
sister.
wife? Yeah, that's crazy.
He should be a commander.
I think the depth is the
Uh,
biggest thing people need to think about when they think about how Baron Ron left the roster,
yeah,
because the starters have pretty much been replaced already.
right.
But these 40 free agents I'm about to read off, those should be the fifth, sixth, seventh round draft picks that are on the rookie contract still.
Yep.
So that's where people
Well,
got to realize, oh, you can't blame Ron anymore. This is where you blame Ron.
yes, you can. It was always about the depth. It was
It was
always
always
about the
about
depth,
the
man.
depth. People don't think about that. They think, oh,
No,
well, not a lot of teams, like more teams just us have cut their first round picks, sure, but most teams haven't cut every single pick from the last 6 years.
right. It's kind of I kind of like analogize it to like a bullpen in baseball. Like you don't, everyone knows like teams that don't have anybody that follows baseball, rather, you don't see a team with no bullpen win a World Series. That's kind of like how you don't see a team with no depth in the NFL win a Super Bowl because you have to have
Right.
depth. That's why the Ravens are so good year to year because they draft, replace, take comp picks, take comp picks, take comp picks. We haven't done that ever, ever.
And then you look at a team like the Niners,
Yeah.
who lack that depth, and they get really far based off coaching and that high-end talent alone. But then they get to a game against the Seahawks, who are healthy and very good, and they get demolished.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for the Niners. That's a whole different
They should have
story.
a Super
But
Bowl or two by
oh,
now,
without
but
a
you're
doubt,
right.
without a
Complete
doubt.
different story.
Well, Ben, why don't you go ahead and read off this gargantuan list of free agents we have, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, it's a long list, so I'm just gonna go top to bottom. We have Debo Samuels, Bobby Wagner, Marcus Mariota, Zach Ertz, Von Miller, Austin Eckler, Chris Rodriguez, Andrew Wiley, Chris Paul, Dietrich Wise, Noah Brown, Traylon Burks, Tress Way, Jacob Martin, Noah Igbenogany, Josh Johnson, Trent Scott, Jeremy McNichols, Shai Tuttle, George Fant, Eddie Goldman, Tyree Jackson, Lucas Niang, Jeff Driscoll, Chase Edmonds, Chris Moore, Jalen Holmes, Sheldon Day, Drake Jackson, and Jake Moody. It's
Woo,
not a short list.
take a
It's
breath.
pretty much all of our depth across the entire team
Yeah, and some starters in there too.
and some
I
starters.
I some names that jump off the page just right on surface value. Obviously, is Bobby Wagner, Debo Samuel, Marcus Mariota, Zach Ertz did tweet the other day and come out and say that he didn't want to end his career on that ACL.
I
However,
don't
he
blame
did
him.
he did. I don't either. And I thank all the years of service that we got from Ertz. He's a hell of a player, man. We're lucky to have him. I don't see how bringing him back aligns with where the trajectory that this team is trying to go in right now. And I don't see that how him tearing his knee that late in the year would have him have a spot on this roster, honestly, with, the impending or the free agents that, could potentially come here. You already have Sennett and Bates on the roster and Colson Yankoff. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's just something we'll have to see play out, but I wish him the best.
Yeah,
I
I'm right there with you. I think the best case scenario, just out of a thank you, Zach Ertz, is to do almost an Alex Smith kind of thing and just give him a 1 year deal for like vet minimum so he can rehab with the team, be around the team,
Right.
and then just put him on IR in August so he misses the whole year. And then you can let him rehab, like I said, keep rehabbing with the team. And then you can let him, see how he looks in the offseason once he's fully recovered. Because you're right, he's not playing next year, and if he did play, it wouldn't be till like November or December, and
Yeah.
that's not the kind of guy that you want to wait on getting back. You need to upgrade over that.
Yeah, you kind of got to wonder because he followed Cliff Kingsbury here. He was with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona, kind of tried to revitalize his career with him out there. Now that Cliff's out there in LA, and LA has Tyler Higbee, as
They
an
have
and
four good tight ends over there,
well, Higbee's a free agent.
right?
Um,
So I mean, I think
who
because they
knows?
had the rookie Terrence Ferguson
Yeah,
who played pretty good, and then they had Colby
Kobe
Parkinson who's
Parkinson,
really really good
he's
also, and
solid.
he
Yeah,
played most of the year while Higbee was injured. And then Higby came back, and Higby's really good. So I
yeah,
think there's a fourth guy in there too because they almost exclusively run 13 personnel, which just shows
yeah.
you how smart McVay is because he's evolved so much from when he first got into the league, and he was
Well,
a genius then.
well, Vic Vay was our tight ends
So
coach.
right. So I think they keep four, all four are really good. So I can't see Zach Ertz following them over there either.
Yeah,
So
it's just hypothetical. Like I hope the best
right.
for him, but I digress. I don't see him coming back here.
No,
Moving
if it is, it's
forward,
like a help rehab and stash him on IR kind of thing.
yeah, I guess. But at that point, he's what, like 37 years old. I
Right.
I I just I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it'll be
know.
more a favor than anything helpful for us.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Von Miller, eh, I don't know. Team that needs to get younger. He did lead the team in sacks, but that's a extremely low bar. I think he finished with 7.5, which is very respectable, especially for somebody of his age. Um, I'd entertain it, but I don't know. That's another
I
one.
think
I
it's
mean,
just like how we felt about Fowler last year. We
yeah,
were all willing to have Fowler back if he was willing to take a cheap deal, but I'm not clamoring for him back. And it's probably going to be another July or August edition. I don't think he's going to want to do the full offseason just like last year where he
I
sat out until right before the season started.
now I do think that he would fit into this scheme pretty well
I do too,
because
and he's
he
a
is
good
an outside
rotational edge rusher either
linebacker.
way.
Yeah, and he can play in space a little bit. He's still got a step. Yeah, that's something to wait and see. It'd have to be the Price is Right type thing, and it can't be like a top signing type thing because
Right.
it's just not. We've played that game.
I
Uh,
think the most interesting name is Bobby Wagner because
yeah,
I was always of the mindset that, oh, he's going to be back no matter what. But with this new scheme coming in, it puts a lot of stress on the linebackers
it
to cover a
does.
lot of ground.
It does.
And it
And
also puts a lot of stress on the linebackers to be really smart. So he at least has that going for him. But he can't be the only linebacker on the field.
he's a coach on the field, so I don't care how bad he was. You are losing something with Bobby
You are losing
Wagner that
something.
there.
I agree.
And I don't want to see him in passing downs ever again. I think I texted you the other day. I'd rather drink bleach than watch him in pass coverage ever again in my life. But he has been an absolute thumper against the run. Um, Granted, that would help him a lot more if we had better defensive line play, but we didn't. Uh, I don't know. That's another one. It's like, I kind of wish that he would just retire and make it easy for
Yeah, make
everybody.
it easy.
Um,
I think we talked about it too. I think he's too close to the all-time tackle record to retire where he's at now, I
yeah,
think.
and I think, and this is kind of one that I'll give like relationships a pass with. Like his relationship with Dan Quinn is so good. I feel like if Bobby Wagner wants to come back, it's not a question. Like he will be back on this team. I
Yeah,
think
that's kind
it's
of
a
how I feel too.
I think it's just a matter of does he want to continue to play or does he want to move forward into his business side of his life because he just graduated with the MBA business
Right.
from Howard University. Just won Washington or the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Congratulations, Bobby Wagner. That's sick.
I
Um,
think that was back-to-back years too, if I'm not mistaken.
you
Because
might
I
be
thought I read that he won it
right.
last year too,
He either won or was
which is
like a
that's crazy.
finalist. Yeah, he's a
Right.
great dude. He's got a lot going for him. He's got a lot going for him post retirement as well. So that's kind of one we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of someone else who has a lot post retirement coming, that's Austin Eckler. I think if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, he already announced he's retiring. I think I think
I didn't see that, but
I
that wouldn't
think he
surprise
did.
me.
I could be imagining it, but all signs point in that direction. I don't see Austin Eckler back, even if he doesn't retire.
Yeah, I
Andrew
think he's gone no matter what.
Andrew Wiley is an interesting one. I think now with it'll that one will kind of depend on if they keep Chris Paul or not, I think. And because you have Brandon Coleman there who can play swing guard, swing tackle. Um, that one's still kind of a mystery to me. Like I'd like to see your
I
third
just feel
round
like
pick crack the starting lineup again.
right. I know spot
Um,
track's not the most accurate all the time,
I'd
but he's
have to look at,
projected at around 2 mil. So if he wants
he's
two
gonna get
mil
more than
for
that.
1 year, I'd bring it back. He's based off what
Wiley or
tackles
Chris
typically
Paul?
get. Wiley
Oh, Wiley, yes. If you can get him back on a $2 million
for
deal,
two
yes.
mil,
I thought you were
yeah,
saying Chris
it's a guy
Paul.
that can play. A guy that can play left tackle, left guard, and right tackle is
Yeah.
much too valuable to let go, even if you bring Chris Paul back, in my opinion.
Wiley
Because
has
I don't
been
know.
largely good for us. Largely.
We don't have any other backup tackle. Even if we bring Chris Paul back, I'm going to assume as of now that Brandon Coleman, who they want to start at guard, because he does, going back to the scheme, he does fit the zone scheme better
He
than Chris
does.
Paul does.
He does.
So even if we bring Chris Paul back, assuming Coleman starts at guard, we don't have any backup tackles because they're all free agents. So I think you got to bring Wiley back. I think he's going to be back.
You got to bring Wiley back, or you have to find a comparable
A new
replacement.
one, yeah.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, that position in and of itself will be filled by somebody, whether it's Wiley, whether it's Coleman, or whether it's somebody off the street or somebody from the draft. I'd wager to say it's a veteran, though, for sure.
Yeah. For that role, you typically want a veteran. So I think Wiley's been in the system. He would be good in this scheme, I think. So
Chris
we'll
Paul's an
see.
interesting one because former seventh round pick, last year of his deal, becomes a starter, becomes one of the better offensive linemen on the team out of nowhere. Nobody saw this coming. I mean, he was a
He was
treat to
good.
watch last year out of a year where there wasn't many treats at all for fans and
No.
anybody viewing. Um, I could see him commanding a good amount of money on the open market. I don't know, admittedly, how he is in his own blocking scheme. So that's another wait and see type thing. And again, it is
Right.
very early in the offseason. There is so much that's going to change pre-draft process and after the draft. So I keep saying wait and see, but wait and see. And for sake of time purposes, I just want to run down a couple more of these free agents. And when I say this name, I want you to say staying or going.
Okay.
Tress Way.
I mean, if he wants to play, if he's not retiring, I'll just stay. Only Pro Bowler last year.
Right. Chris Rodriguez, he'll be back. He's a restricted
That's a
rights free
stay, yeah.
agents. They'll tender him. He'll be back at least for training camp. Dietrich Wise,
That's maybe a hot take. I think stay if he's gonna not retire also.
I think so too. In a 3-4 base, he's a perfect defensive end. You'd want a 3-4 base. Sets
Exactly.
the edge
Exactly what I
really
was
well.
thinking. Yeah.
Played one of our better, if not the best defensive linemen on the field between him and Dorrance Armstrong before they both got hurt last year.
Right.
And
And he's
I
big
said it.
enough.
I
He's big
said
enough that
it.
you can put Jacob Martin outside of him
Right.
and put him on the same side.
So Jacob Martin's coming back, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I would bring Jacob
Getting a
Martin
little ahead,
back.
but yeah.
I would
He was
take
a bright
Jacob
spot
Martin
too,
back.
like Chris Paul.
And you remember last year when we were going through the roster and he was one of your surprise cuts, and I was like, no, dude, I'm telling you, Jacob Martin, he's
Hey, I
my
mean,
he's my average guy that I love.
I liked how he looked this year.
Yeah, he played with his hair on fire. Traylon Burks,
I think that's a stay.
I think that's a stay as well. Noah Igbenogany.
This feels like a stay, but it always seems like they want to get rid of him so bad. But I'll say stay.
I'm gonna say go on that one. I think they get younger.
The only reason I say stay is if we cut Lattimore, it's only Amos and Sainer still left from last year's cornerback room.
Good,
So I'd say at least bring
good.
Ibenogany back for
That's
veteran
not
depth
true.
and
Mikey Sanders
familiarity.
still.
Right. Amos and Sainer still are the
Oh,
only two.
duh.
Right. So because Jonathan Jones and all those guys are all going to be free agents. So I say stay at least for camp.
Okay. Marcus Mariota. That's a good one.
With Cliff going to Los Angeles, I'm going to say stay.
I'm going to say stay too. I think it's very important that we have him, or at least a
I agree.
comparable player. Keeping him would also be, it's an underrated, huge necessity to Jaden and the continuity with David Blau. Because I
Right.
think Mariota offers you another element of coaching on the field and on the
Because we didn't
sideline.
talk about our new QB coach, DJ Williams, Doug Williams' son.
Oh, geez,
But
that's the one I forgot. Come
but
on.
when you have a new QB coach, it's important to have that veteran quarterback
Right.
still in the room.
For sure. If they don't have Mariota, it'll be another veteran. It's not going to be Sam
Right.
Hartman. It's not going to be Sam Johnson or Josh Johnson. I can promise
Yeah,
you
so we're
that.
gonna jump ahead to Josh Johnson. Go. He can
Go.
go. Go retire finally.
Hey, I gotta give that man his flowers, dude. Go sign 1 day contracts with every team in the NFL that you haven't played for yet, just so you can say you
Just to
were
finish
on
it off.
every team. That would be awesome.
I'll give him
Only player
props. I
ever.
like his straight talk
Yeah,
commercial.
yeah, for sure.
That's the best thing he's done in the past few years.
He played pretty well.
He played all right.
What was the what? He started the Philly game, right? Last
He
game of
did.
the yeah. He
And
played all right.
unfortunately, he won, so that's not
For
very
like
good
a
of him for us.
39-year-old, yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Meaningless games, whatever. We're past that. Jeremy McNichols.
That's an interesting one. I'm going to say stay, at least for camp.
Yeah, I'd say a 1 year deal for Camp. Best receiving back that we had.
And best blocking back.
Post Eckler injury. Yeah, that's something you and I were discussing off record, where I definitely want to see them get younger, better pass catching back. However, Jeremy McNichols' ability to pick up the blitz on passing downs is invaluable,
It
and
is really
he is a
valuable.
very fundamentally sound player. He's not going to wow you in hardly any aspect of his game, but he's also not bad in any aspect of his game. So
No.
he's your
He's
perfect
a
type of bench floor, keeping the
classic
floor
jack of
level
all
type
trades,
player.
master of
Correct.
none kind
Yeah,
of guy.
which is the glue of rosters. So
Right.
I think that's somebody you bring back as well. Let me see here. Eddie Goldman. Yeah.
I could see it if we need a true, like we talked about, we don't have a true nose tackle.
Yeah.
And he was a good nose tackle for us last year. He did that job well, so I could see him coming back maybe on a 1 year deal again.
Yeah, I could see him sitting out there for a while, and if they don't find somebody younger in the draft
Then
or
they can
free
bring him
agency
back.
to
Yep.
play as a true nose, and Eddie Goldman's still sitting out there, I think, and he wants to play and he's in playing shape, because I don't know if you remember when we signed him last year, he hadn't played in a couple years or a year or so. He had taken a
Right.
year off. But
When he had retired before and then came
yeah, he
back again.
retired.
So
Yeah, that's
you
what it
never know
was.
if he's the kind of guy who's going
Yeah.
to commit to
Like
staying
is
on.
his heart in it. Yeah. Let's see. Do somebody else that
I think, what do you think about Trent Scott? I think I don't, that's hard for me because I was always he's going to be back until we fired Cliff. So, and now I don't know. Cliff loved those six offensive line sets, and Trent Scott was that perfect sixth offensive lineman. But now I'm not sure with what Blau's going to do. But he's
that's
another guy like
he's such
Wiley
a
that can play everywhere but center. So he is versatile.
yeah, I just he's such a fringe guy. It's like I look and like how
Yeah,
many other teams is he gonna have a spot on? Another one of those like Goldman where I feel like if we go through the process and get kind of into the doldrums of the offseason and that spot still isn't filled, they could like dip back into that well and
right.
bring him back. Um, I think you'll see a lot of these guys back on like really veteran minimum training camp
Camp
deals
deals. Yeah.
essentially. But a lot of them I think you won't, because I do think that they want to and need to get younger. So guys like him and Goldman, like I don't know.
You'd love to get, even if it's an equal caliber player, you'd love to get
Right,
younger.
right, exactly. So yeah, that kind of sums up what free agency looks like. Oh, wow, Debo. What about Debo?
Debo, that's a hard one for me. I'm gonna
Not for me.
say go. I'm gonna say go. I think he fits the Cliff offense better than whatever we're gonna do next. Although if we're
I
gonna run
mean,
Shanahan style, he was great in that Shanahan
that's what I
style,
was gonna
and
say.
it depends what he wants. Two
I
years, 20 million, I'd do it.
I think he's
2 years, 40, no way.
I think he's gonna command more money than we're willing to pay. I think somebody's gonna pay him.
I
I
think
do.
anything less than 15, I'd think about it. Anything more is a no for me.
I'd bring him back on a 1 year, maybe a 2 year with an out
Yeah,
after one.
right.
Incentive laden, heavily incentive laden. I mean, he played well, but like what really bothered me about him and I feel like I watched a lot of Debo over the years when he was with San Francisco. Not every single
And I
game,
was a
but
South
like
Carolina
it's
fan,
pretty.
so I watched
Yeah,
some of
so
them in
yeah,
college.
you're familiar. He dropped a lot of balls this year, man.
Yeah, he's
Like
not a
balls that
receiver.
hit him dead in the hands. Like the beginning of that freaking Vikings game where we got shut out. If he catches that touchdown at the beginning of the game, that's a different game. That ball
It
hit
is.
him
Now I'm
dead in
glad
the
we
middle of the
lost with
hands.
how the draft capital
I
went,
am
but
too, but like
never feel good to get shut out.
this team shouldn't be getting shut out. Like that was just disgusting. And I'm not sitting here blaming Debo for the whole thing, but he did have some pretty boneheaded drops in critical situations
Yeah,
last year. And granted, he did also get like kind of flung into a wide receiver one role, which
right.
he's not built
Early
for. Let's
on.
be honest. Like he's a
No.
gadget player. And I was a little apprehensive about the trade when we first made it. And
But for a fifth round pick, I was like, I don't
for a
care.
fifth
He's going to
round
be
pick,
better than a
yeah,
fifth
I
round
was like,
pick.
what can I really complain about? I just never thought that I thought it was kind of moot between him and Eckler, honestly.
Yeah, so when Eckler got hurt, it made him more valuable,
Yeah,
of course. But
yeah, and so he got thrust into. They probably used him 100% more than they actually wanted to this year. He had a ton of touches, but
he did.
he ain't getting any younger.
Nope.
I don't know. Uh,
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I'm gonna
Well,
say no.
my biggest
I
worry
think
with
he's
Debo
replaceable.
is I think if they like because this is what happened with Noah Brown kind of last year where we brought Noah Brown back and then we were like, well, we don't need to upgrade receiver anymore. And I
Well,
worry if we re-sign Debo, it's going to be oh well, we re-signed Debo, so now we don't need to upgrade our receiver. If
I
it's
I
Debo or a younger free agent or a guy that we draft, I'd rather it be the younger free agent or a guy we draft. Like I don't, I feel like based off Adam Peters' short history with us, this just feels like the classic. Well, I re-signed this guy, so now we're all good there.
I don't think that that's how it's gonna go this year.
I hope not, but that's based off past
I really
experiences. Like
still think that they're smarter than that, and
I hope. I mean, I'd imagine so, but I think it's hope right now.
if they want David Blau to work, they need to not do that. They got to surround him
Yeah,
with
I
as
mean, I
much talent
agree.
as possible. And
We have the money.
I still think this is a team that's going to lean on its offensive prowess and have a defense that is sustainable but not great.
Yes, I think we
Uh,
just need to be league average.
I agree.
League average defense.
Need to league average and run the damn ball, man.
On the same topic of Debo, I think Noah Brown needs to be gone for me to have a little faith in this front office.
I wasn't even going to entertain talking about Noah Brown. Thank you for the Hail Mary, Noah. We appreciate it. We'll remember it forever. Go retire and get healthy or something, dude. Go to the islands. I don't know. Just
The only
I
other
just
guy I want to single out is Drake Jackson
yeah, I wanted
because
to
I
talk
do
about him
think
too.
that he's a guy they should bring back, like Traylon Burks, former
Yeah.
high draft pick, super talented, struggled with injuries. I think we have a Drake Jackson versus Javante Jean Baptiste free training camp battle for
Yeah.
that very last defensive end spot
Yeah.
because they kind of fill that same role. So, and
Yeah,
I
they
liked how uh, Baptiste has looked. To be honest, he's just
yeah,
never
me
healthy
too.
either.
Just not
So,
healthy.
I think
And
that Jackson's back for that.
I do too because like they brought Jackson in and they brought him in early so they wouldn't lose out on getting him even though he wasn't healthy yet. And I think he
Right.
was only active for like one or two games.
I
You
think
know
it's
what I
like the
mean?
last 3 games of the season, and that's it.
So
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they signed him off the street with the intention of keeping him for next year as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Like get your hands on him so you can't go somewhere else.
it's another guy. We'll have to see how he fits into this new defensive scheme. We'll have more information on that in the coming
Right.
months. But yeah, somebody I can
Last one
definitely
for
see them
real,
taking
Jake
a shot
Moody.
of. Man,
We need kicker
no,
competition. Bring him
no,
back, kicker
no.
competition.
He's
No,
not
you know what?
good. He's not
He
good.
he made kicks for us, but he did not
He
look good
also
for the
missed like a
Niners.
25-yard kick at the end of the year.
Yeah. This is
Like
my thing though. It's like I'd bring him back, bring a competition. Like
I,
that's what we've been missing out the last couple of years. We should have brought Zane Gonzalez back and brought a competition
I
or
agree.
Cyber or something. Just
I,
bring Moody back for the camp and bring in another guy so they can actually compete.
I agree. On the competition part, I think that my stance on kickers and everybody's, coaches like, oh, we don't want to bring in competition. Dan Quinn, we don't want to bring in competition for Matt Gay because we don't want to mess with his mindset. Every kicker should have, I think every team should have two kickers on the roster, one on the active roster, one on the practice squad, two in practice at all times to create competition in practice at all times. Because, and my point will always be on this, if you can't handle competition and turmoil in practice, how the hell are you going to handle it in a game? You have
Right.
one
Kicker's the
job,
one
it's to kick the
position.
ball.
It's like 100% mental.
It's mental, man. And like if
So
you
if you
can't
can't,
handle the
like you said,
mental
if you can't
stress of
handle that,
practice,
right,
you can't
or
handle the mental
competition,
stress of a game-winning kick in overtime. Like
right,
like I don't know. Obviously I'm not a coach, I'm not a personnel artist, like, but it kind of seems obvious. Like every other position has competition. Every other
right.
except kicker. Why? Um, I guess I'd be willing to give him a shot to come back for camp, but I feel like we've already seen what he is, and I'm really, really, really tired of bringing in guys with the yips and trying to coach the yips out of them instead of bringing
That's
in
fair.
young kickers and developing them. So you look around the league. I mean, look at Andres Borregales. You look at the guy from Detroit. What's his name? The guy out of the UFL,
Jake
Jake
Bates.
Bates. Um,
Tyler Luke missed that
Ty,
game-winning field goal, but he was
yes,
really
but
good all year.
largely he hit like a 63 yarder. Cam Little
Yeah.
from
Cam Little
Jacksonville,
is so
rookie,
good. Well,
60.
he's really inconsistent with
Six,
his accuracy, but what a
well,
leg.
well, when you're trying to kick 68 yarders all the time, no shit. I mean,
Yeah.
I
He missed
think
some short ones, but I'll take some missed short ones if they're going to give me a 70-yard field goal.
there is a kicker coming out of Florida this year. I want to say his last name is Smash or something like
Good
that.
last name.
I think Jersey seller right there. Best kicker come out of college this year by far. You still have some young guys that are sitting out there. There's undrafted free agents every year, and there's guys in the UFL that are kicking their hearts out trying to get in the NFL. I think you get two of those guys, and you bring
Yeah.
those type of guys into camp, and you get them to play your way. All
Yeah.
right. And that's where I think on that. But for the sake of time, we're going to move forward to the next segment. We're going to talk about who we think could fit here as free agents. Stick around. All right. Before we jump into impending potential free agent fits, I want to go over some cut and extension candidates. I think the obvious one that is going to happen for sure is Marshawn Lattimore. The team saves 18.5 million right now. They could get up to a total of 86.5 million in cap space, which puts them top five in the league with that cut. Lattimore came here in a trade November 5th of 24. So of 24. So last season. Hasn't really played out for us the way it was expected. Um, I don't hate the trade and the fact that they tried, but it
Right.
failed and they learned,
He
hopefully
did.
learn from it. Not every trade's going to work. Some do, like Tunsil, and some don't, like Lattimore. Luckily, they have an out, no dead cap penalty, save 18.5 million. I think that one's pretty set in stone. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I mean, he's definitely cut. Because with these guys like this going into the last year where they have no like dead cap, and that means they also don't have guaranteed money. So players
Right,
don't typically play on those years of their deal.
right,
So typical options are to trade them somewhere that'll give them the extension. You give them an extension, or you cut them.
right.
And no one's going to trade for Marshawn Lattimore at this point in his career. I certainly don't want to extend him,
Right.
and so I think he's cut, and that is
Yep.
what it is.
Yep, that's pretty cut and dry, if I have to say so myself. Uh, Not a whole lot of real cut candidates after that because they've already said they're keeping Deron Payne for whatever freaking reason. Maybe he's a restructure candidate. Maybe
I think
you,
he's another guy you have to restructure. It's because his cap
yeah,
hit's so big this year, but it's also I think not a lot of guaranteed money. So I think they definitely got to restructure his deal. I was prime. This is just like Jonathan Allen last year. We're gonna
yeah,
go through this with Payne and
yeah,
Lattimore. This is just the Jonathan Allen conversation, except no one wanted to trade for him, and so we just cut him. Marshall Lattimore, no one's gonna trade for him. We're just gonna cut him. Now
yeah,
Payne is harder because I could see us trading him, cutting him, or keeping him. If it was, but it seems like we're gonna keep him, so I think we got to restructure
yeah.
his
I
deal.
think you restructure and you take some of that $28 million salary, convert it to a bonus, tack on a
Right.
void year next year, and then maybe spread it out over next year a little bit.
And
And
this should be a player that fits the scheme well, theoretically,
yeah,
as that defensive end.
yeah,
So,
and he did play well at times last year. He probably was
right.
our best defensive lineman overall. But for
Him
somebody
and
that,
Kinlaw both looked good when the edges were healthy.
yeah, and they can't do it all. And there wasn't a lot of times I saw him taking plays off like I have in the past. It's just we've been going through the Duran Payne saga for so long, and like I don't feel like he's ever reached his full potential except for at one contract year where he had like
Right.
10 or 12 sacks. Also, not
And
a guy
it's
that I
tough to
need to
judge
see
those
get all these
players.
sacks. Yeah, it is. It's tough to judge anyone on the line that's not an edge,
Right.
honestly, because you have to really, really know what you're looking at. You got to grind a lot of tape.
Right. If you look at
And
ESPN, they had Payne and Kinlaw as both top 10 run stopping defensive tackles.
yeah, I mean,
But if you look at PFF and their grades are awful. Now, from what I've heard, PFF grades it if you're still blocked at the end of the play, you lost. But for a nose tackle, that's stupid because their whole point is to eat two blocks and
yeah,
hold those two blocks so the linebacker can make the tackle. So no system is perfect. You can't take any analytical stat with like full like holy power. You know, you got to take
Right.
everything with a grain of salt. Use your eyes a little bit. Trust the experts that aren't just looking at stats. I think he's a guy that he's fine. He's good. He could be great, but he's mostly just fine. So
Yeah.
I think he's the best argument I saw for keeping him is you're not going to replace him with a better player, probably.
That's kind of
And
where
we
I'm at
already
right
have too
now.
many holes on the defense.
That's kind of where I'm at right now. And then, if he walks in free agency, maybe we get a comp pick, down
Right.
the road.
But speaking of comp picks, good teams get a comp pick from Chris Paul. But we're not going to because we have to sign so many players to fill how many roster spots we have. So it will outweigh that contract that Paul is
Yeah,
going to get,
we're not
assuming he walks.
we're not going to see comp picks for at least a couple more years.
Right.
Given
And that's
given
another way
that's
that you can
yeah,
blame Ron for where we're
exactly,
at is because
exactly.
you're supposed to have depth, so you let that guy, like Chris Paul, walk, get that big contract somewhere else, relatively big, and you get that fifth or sixth round comp pick back.
He'd be a seventh round comp pick, I think,
Right.
because he was a
It,
seventh
it
round
just
draft
depends
pick.
what people want to pay for him. I think it's
Yeah,
based on the contract.
yeah, yeah, and average salaries for
Right.
like
For that position, or like if
right,
you sign
yeah,
someone back with that same price
yeah.
range, you don't get it. It's a complicated
I'm
system,
not a cap wizard. I mean,
but
I look at
right.
enough
But that's the
contracts
kind
to
of
have
guy
a
that a
general
good
understanding.
team gets a comp pick for. So that shows you where we're at in terms of our roster construction.
So we're saving money with Lattimore. You restructure Deron Payne, you potentially save a little bit money. Now comes Laramie Tunsil. Tunsil is going to get extended. He played
Yeah.
very, very well. He's still a top five left tackle in the NFL. All the weird stuff that the Houston was saying about him when he got traded, we saw exactly zero of that from him here. Even in a really bad season, he did nothing but play.
Yeah.
And I see. I think that, and I hope that Peters learned a little bit from last year and dragging that Terry extension out. I think that this is one that gets done quickly. It might
Yeah, I
be done
agree.
one of the first things in the offseason. If not, I think that's a disservice to the rest of the team because he has no guarantee money left on his deal. I would like to see an extension before free agency that opens up even a little bit more money and gets us over $100 million in cap
Right.
space. But I think that's pretty cut and dry as well. Tunsil will be extended this offseason.
Yeah. So looking at the math, right now he's making 25 million a year,
Right.
which is already tied for sixth in the league. So it's
Right.
not like he's gotten passed up by like everybody like you see with quarterbacks. But the highest paid tackle right now is at 28.5 million. I believe Wirfs and Sewell are tied at 28.5 million for the highest contract. Or they're both right around that 28 million range. So I think it's hard because you don't see guys on their third contract set the market typically.
Right. Yeah.
Tunsil could be different because he is just that good, and tackles in general are different because they play longer. But I think you're going to see him right around that $28 million range, maybe tying those guys, maybe getting 28.6 just to technically be the highest paid. But I don't think you're going to be looking at like anything like 4 or 5 million above market value. I think you're going to be right at that market value
They
of
might
around
have to
28.
overpay him a little bit because I think it's important to get him signed before other extensions
Right.
like
And
Wirfs
I do agree with
or
that.
or
Yeah.
Sewell hit because they're younger and their prices are going to be higher. So I kind of am wary that he's going to because Tunsil is a money man. I know that is a fact.
Right.
I worry that
And
he
he
might
represents
want to
himself, so it's going
sit
to be
and
interesting.
wait. Yeah, I wonder if he was going to want to sit and wait for Sewell and Wirfs or other guys to get extensions first, or or if like, hey, Laramie, we were going to give you 28 and a half million on a 3-year extension. How about we give you 29.5 million on a 3-year extension and we get it done right now?
Right. We'll
I
give you 30 million right
I'm
now just to sign.
30
Yeah.
or 30 just to keep you happy and just get this over with. Just do it. Just get it
Yeah.
over with. What's a couple million like the just get it over with. Like I don't want them haggling and bringing this into training camp and it's I would be shocked if it did. I would be absolutely shocked if Tunsil is not extended within the next
Yeah. And this
couple
isn't the kind of
months.
guy you penny
Yeah.
pinch with, especially
No,
when you gave
not at
up a
all.
second, a third, and a fourth round pick for him.
Not at all. And if you're all in for Jaden, then you lock up his left tackle right now. I mean, that's
Right.
pretty standard general football knowledge right there. So that pretty much sums up, cut candidates. Don't really have
The
any
only other
trade
extension candidate
candidates.
you mentioned was Luvu, was the last extension candidate you mentioned
Right.
earlier.
Yes, I did want to bring up Luvu. So
That's a little bit of a hot
Luvu,
take, so I'll let you take that.
Yeah, Luvu is a little bit of my hot take here, and I'll tell you why. Luvu played out of position almost all year last year. He got put in positions where his skill set doesn't fit the best. And now you have Durante Jones coming in, potentially running a variation of Brian Flores' defense, which Luvu would fit to an absolute perfect T. He's a blitzer. He loves playing fast and aggressive. He's great in the locker room. He's going into a season where he has no guaranteed money left on his deal. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2027. You get in early and lock him up now and make him a core piece of this new defense moving forward. You don't have to worry about it. Say he comes in this year and has a great year playing in a system that suits him probably the best of any system that he's been in since he came in the league, and his value shoots up, then you're paying even more for him or trying to find a replacement this time next year. I say you get Livu done, you extend him 1 2 year deal, give him a little bit of money, put some incentives in it, call it a day, and have him be a leader, continue to be a leader in your locker room and a foundational piece of this new defense.
Yeah, and I'm with you that if he performs as well in this defense, I think he will. Because I've seen a lot of people say that Frankie Louvu is not Andrew Van Ginkel.
No.
And while I do agree, I think he is the very similar role, even if he has different strengths and weaknesses. Like he can rush off the edge and he can drop in coverage, even if he's not maybe as good at either as Van Ginkel is. Like obviously Luvu's more of a natural like A gap blitzer, like up the middle, but he can play off the edge. So I think he will fit well in this defense. And I do think it is a guy where if he plays as well in this defense as we think he could, that you are maybe instead of right now, you could extend him for 6 7 8 million a year. You'll be looking
Yeah.
at like 10 11 12 million a year if he plays
Right.
well.
I would just love to see him in these blitz packages that Flores runs. Like I think that he would just be an absolute animal in that.
Yeah.
And I think with the right coaching, a little bit better tackling, he could succeed and he could be in line for a much, much bigger 2026. That's my hot take on February 8th, 2026 right now. So yeah, now that really wraps up extension eligibilities, cut candidates. Don't really have any trade possibilities that I can see on the surface right now. You never know what could happen, but I kind of want to shoot forward because we're getting a little long on this episode. I want to shoot forward into a couple, and granted, these are just a couple free agents and not the only guys Ben and I want to get, but for the sake of time, Ben and I both chose 2 free agents each that we think we could fit here. And keep in mind, we wanted to do the free agency stuff before we get into any of the draft stuff because we're still very early in the draft process. Combine hasn't even happened yet. Uh,
No
these free
further
agent
news.
signings are going to dictate who they draft.
The draft.
Like
Yeah.
we're gonna have a much clearer picture. Like say they go into free agency and they sign all defense, and all of a sudden we're looking at, oh God, could they actually take a receiver? Could they take Jeremiah Love? I don't know, but that's something we'll save for later. For now, we're gonna talk about a couple free agents. Ben, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so I think my biggest, this feels like an Adam Peters kind of move, is running back Rashad White from Tampa Bay. He kind of fills that receiving back kind of role. Looking through his stats, I mean, he had 800 total yards his rookie year, 480 rushing, 290 receiving. He had 1,400 his sophomore year, almost 1,000 rushing, and almost 600 receiving. And he was back down to about 900 his third season and back down to right around 800 his fourth season. So
Right.
this is your Austin Eckler kind of guy. He's going to get 400 to 500 rushing yards. He's going to get 200 to 300 receiving yards, and he's going to be your second running back off the bench. And that kind of opens it up for Bill to be the main starter. But so it really depends on how they feel about Bill. But I could, if they want to run forward with him as the starter, or if they do draft someone like Jeremiah Love, Rashad White could be a good complement to that.
Right. And when I first started, everybody's Rashad White. I'm like, what's the hype? And I felt like it was one of those situations where people are like, I just want him because he's friends with Jaden or he played a year with
And that is
Jaden.
another plus. They did play together.
Yeah, I guess that's a plus, but I also think that's highly overvalued. But
It is because
we'll
played there
get,
for like 1 year or 2 years
yeah,
basically.
it's just I don't know, especially with like the Ayuk thing, but I don't even want to talk
Right.
about that. Um, so when I first started going into Rashad White, and I get that you can't box score watch, you can't just look at stats, but I'm looking at his rushing stats and I'm like, this is literally identical to Brian Robinson Jr. Like what are we looking at right now? I think his receiving prowess is like what really sets him apart. And
Right.
and I've said this before in the past on episodes with you, and I think you hold the same belief. I don't really look at like RB1, RB2, RB3, especially with running backs, because like honestly, the only real position on the field that like I value that is quarterback, really, and maybe tight end.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
because I see if he comes in, I see him being more of like our David Montgomery, and then Bill kind of being like our Walmart Gibbs. I think it'd be a good sign. He's young. He's produced. I think he was a little bit criminally underused in Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, once
Um,
they brought Bucky Irving in, he was
yeah,
great his sophomore year, and they drafted Bucky Irving in 2024, and he filled in that running back two role perfectly.
right.
Like 800 total, like 900 total yards and 800 total yards in 2 seasons as the primary running back two is pretty good. And he's only missed one game in his career.
Right. Yeah. I mean, longevity. He's got not as much mileage on his legs because of Bucky Irving coming in, and the friendship with Jaden Daniels. He wants to be here. He's publicly said
He's
several
posted
times
it
that he wants
many,
to be
many
here.
times. Yeah.
So I mean, that makes the process a lot easier, and perhaps he takes a little bit less money to come here as opposed to somewhere else. The Jaden Daniels
And if they
effect.
liked Eckler,
But
if you liked Eckler, if the team likes Eckler, you're gonna like Rashad White. It's
right.
almost copy paste. Not quite
So
obviously, but it's almost copy paste.
I do think that he would be a good runner for us, and you bring back C-Rod, and that gives you first second down thumper. Um, but I kind of want to pivot it to a running back that I'd like to see us sign, and that's Tyler Algier out of
Same
Atlanta,
division.
same division. I am a big Tyler Algier fan. I always have been, and
I was too.
I think that I look, free agency guys isn't always about let's go out and pay for the best player. Scheme fit and team chemistry fit and health. There's so much that go
And
into it,
potential.
and potential. And Tyler Algier is a guy came in his rookie season, has 1,000-yard rusher. They drafted Bijan Robinson the year after that. He takes a back seat. If you ever had him in fantasy, he's a viable fantasy option because he's a goal line. He steals touches at the goal line. He's never missed a game in his career.
Zach Charbonnet.
Yes, but better. He's never missed
But
a
better,
game.
I do
He's never
agree.
missed a game in his career. He's never fumbled in his career. He's only missed 8 targets in his whole career. Granted, he hasn't had a ton of targets, but he's made a lot of things happen with the opportunities that he's been given. I think he
Yeah.
fits perfectly. I think he comes in the mold. I know I brought him up earlier. He's literally almost identical. He's David Montgomery. Like this reminds me so much of when David Montgomery left Chicago and got signed by the Lions and became much more household name than he was when he was in Chicago. This is what I
Yeah.
see in Tyler Algier. Somebody who has been sitting behind somebody who has already been a starter. He doesn't even need to come in and be a starter. He's a first and second down thumper and somebody in the red zone. I don't see a better I don't see them going for a big name free agent running back like Brees Hall, Travis
No, I don't
Etienne.
see it either.
Like their injury histories, the amount of money they're going to cost. I just would I be excited
Too
about it?
many other
Sure,
needs to spend the
but
big money on the running back.
exactly, and I think that you could get awesome production out of a guy like Tyler Algier or Rashad White, but for the sake of exercise, Tyler Algier right now. He's a good player. He's fundamentally sound. He does everything right. He's not going to wow you, but he's also not like just an average player. He's an above average player, and he's good. And he could come in
Yeah.
and beat you down, and then you bring in your version of Jameer Gibbs and Billy Dollar Signs, and you score touchdowns. I would absolutely love Tyler Algier on this team.
Yeah. Question for you. We sign Algier. We're sitting at 7, and the top 6 defensive prospects are off the board. Do you go Jeremiah Love at 7, or does having Bill and signing Algier prevent that for you?
If the team feels like they're in a position to take Jeremiah Love, I don't think you take into account anybody that's on your roster because he's that good. You just take him.
Right.
Um, I I don't know. Like I think that would upset a lot of people, and historically, taking a running back in the top 10 doesn't really translate outside of Jameer Gibbs into a deep playoff
Yeah, I
pushing
think he
team.
went like 8,
Um,
I think I want to say.
yeah, he went 8. Yeah. And you look at guys like Bijan Robinson. I mean, Atlanta's usually at the cusp of the playoffs or just barely makes it, and they're in the NFC South. So NFC East,
Right.
they're probably in the same position as us year to year. Uh,
The one thing I'd say is not many top 10 running backs go to a team that already have a franchise quarterback. Because
I,
Saquon went to the
yeah,
Giants when they had Danny Dimes, like right at the end of Eli, maybe. And then Bijan went to the Falcons, and they didn't have one then, and they still don't have one.
Yeah.
Look, Jahmyr Gibbs went somewhere with a solid quarterback in Goff, and that
Yeah.
team instantly went from like middle of the pack to a number one seed. So
That's kind of my point too, and I agree with you there. Is like the thoughts of matching, and not to get too far off base, but the thoughts of matching him up with Jaden Daniels keeps me up at night because it
yeah,
would be awesome. It would
and
be
it'll keep defensive
awesome.
coordinators open,
Yeah.
and that's what's important on
Yeah.
offense.
It would be great. So, yeah, I think we'll see if they go and sign guys in free agency, then I'm like, all right, like they're not going to take him probably. And it would kind of be moot. Like we know he's going to be there at 7. He's going to be there at
Right.
7. So you just go in with the thought, if you want him that bad, you go in with the thought of just taking him at 7, and you really don't sign any running backs, I guess. But
Yeah,
I I don't know, man. I don't know. I
it'll be
would wait. I
interesting.
would wager to say that they'll bring in running backs and not draft him,
Yeah, I'm
but
definitely
I would
agree.
not be against it. I would
I
enjoy
wouldn't be
it
against it
thoroughly.
either.
But let's go ahead and move on to your next free agent acquisition, Ben. You got
So
Clavon
this,
Chase on here.
yeah, this is actually the only defensive guy either of us picked. And this just feels like your classic Adam Peters 3 years, $45 million contract that he loves to hand out.
Right.
Obviously drafted by Jacksonville in the first round. He was always seen as a project player. He never really quite put it together. He only had one sack his rookie year. He only had one sack his sophomore year, one sack his third year, two his fourth year. But then he went to Las Vegas in 2024 after they declined his rookie or his fifth year option. He went to Vegas, put up 5 sacks, went to New England, put up 7.5, and now he's a free agent again. So he's definitely boosted that stock a lot. He got out of Jacksonville and slowly started improving. I think that's the guy you bring in. He's still young. I want to say he's like 26, maybe like about to turn 27.
Yeah.
And this is the guy you bring in. You give him that 3 year deal. You get him in his prime. He should keep growing. He's that perfect outside linebacker type. He's pretty small, pretty
He fits
quick.
the system.
He had 2 forced fumbles this year and 2 pass deflections. That's pretty valuable for a
He's long.
edge rusher to get those hand up, get
Right.
those hands up.
Yep.
So you don't know what you're getting from Dorrance Armstrong coming off that Achilles or that ACL tear, and you don't have anything else other than that. I think everyone else is a free agent other than Jean Baptiste.
Yeah.
So this is a guy you get him in. Now this might be a guy that you get and then don't bring Jacob Martin back, or a guy that you bring Jacob Martin back and therefore they don't go after him. But this is
Bring
kind of
both.
my dream guy that I want.
Yeah, he would fit really well. Long, athletic, outside linebacker type pass rusher. So
And
there's
if they
your
brought in Drake
Andrew
Jackson,
Van Ginkel.
they brought in Traylon Burks, all former high draft picks with the
Yeah.
talent that never put it together. If you want to keep doing that, this is how teams get better, is they bring in these kinds of players
Yep.
that are on the verge of the breakout and they give them good money, but not great money. And
Yep.
then they break out for you while they're making below what they probably should be.
Yep. I fully
Like
agree with
Jonathan
you.
Bernard with the Vikings.
Yeah. That's
He
a
was
great
average
example.
in Texas and with Houston. We got like a decent free agent contract, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty good money still, better than what Chase On's going to get. But now that he like led the league in sacks his first year in Minnesota, or like was at the very least was like right up there, and he was very good again last year. So you got to find that talent.
Right. No, I fully agree with you on that. And I'd love to see him here. And 3 years 45 would be very nice. And that leads me into my last selection, and that's Romeo Dobbs, 25. Obviously, we need upgrades at receiver. We already
Yeah,
talked about not bringing Debo back potentially. Romeo Dobbs is a guy that has produced a lot since he's been in Green Bay, and Green Bay doesn't feature any one receiver, so it's an
yeah,
absolute fantasy nightmare if anybody's ever tried to have a fantasy receiver post Aaron Rodgers, even like late Aaron Rodgers out there. But somebody that's consistent, he's only 25 years old coming into free agency, and somebody that can slide in immediately and be a wide receiver too to Terry McLaurin, like immediately would fit
yeah.
very well.
I think he's a great fit. Yeah,
I think you could get him on a pretty team friendly deal. He's not going to break the bank and you guys got to remember too, like elite players rarely reach free agency. A lot of these guys that we're talking about, there's a chance they don't make it to free agency. There's a chance that the team resigns them before we even get a chance to get our hands on them. So, like I've been saying this whole episode, like this is very, very preliminary, and a lot of things could change and will change between now and March 14th. Um, but it's pretty widely believed that he will make it to free agency, and I think that they could get him on a team like maybe another like 3 year $45 million deal. two
Right.
years, 2 years, 37, 38 million, something along those lines, and somebody that's going to contribute. He's pretty sure-handed, has missed some time over his career, but nothing like super
Yeah,
egregious. I think
injuries
the
have
most
been
games
the
he's missed is
concussions as much as
4.
them.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
had some concussions, but hey, you're also playing in Green Bay where it's like negative 500 degrees and
it's
Lambeau
true.
Field turf is like concrete. So I wonder
Right.
if that plays. It's got to play a part into it. Like if freaking
I could imagine so.
radio waves are playing a part into blowing up Christian McCaffrey's knee these days. That's so
I
wild, isn't
like
it?
that
Oh my
he said
God.
he's actually going to look into that to see if that's
Yeah.
true.
I, it sounds like it might be, man. It's not something I had on my bingo card, but interesting nonetheless. But hey, we got a lot to look forward to this offseason and many more episodes to come. We look forward to updating you. And if you stay this long, thank you very much. We're happy to be back. And please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. We want to talk to you. We want your suggestions. That's what helps us grow and helps us bring you more content. Again, I am Sam. That is my co-host, Ben. Uh, keep your left hand up, man. Peace.